Hello guys, welcome to our job tracker again, and now in this video we will be discussing about TCS NQT. So actually there is very less amount of time for NQT, but we had put full efforts right now to get this video good for you and to guide you better for the TCS NQT. So actually TCS NQT is a national level examination, and this examination is being conducted across the country on 3rd and 4th of August 2019. So actually many people will be writing this examination throughout the country, and this is being conducted across various cities in the country. So one of the most important thing what you should be remembering here is you should be reading the each and every instruction given by TCS very carefully before the beginning of examination. While you begin the examination or you start the examination, you will be having a set of instructions which you should be reading very carefully. It gives out you a brief introduction about what is the pattern of examination and where there will be negative marking and where there won't be negative marking, and what is the time limit for each Roman, on what are the count of various questions in which session, so on. So these are the most important things what you should be seeing from the instructions. So now let us see what is the pattern of this TCS NQT. So NQT will be consisting of totally 4 Romans, and the first section consisting of verbal and second section consisting of quantitative aptitude, and then you will be moving on to programming logic, and finally you will be having a single coding question. So one of the most important thing what you should be remembering here is you will be given a particular set of time for each and every section, and once you had skipped or moved out of that section, you can't be coming back to that section. So one of the thing that you should be remembering is while you move on from that particular section, see that you had answered all the questions correctly, and see that you had answered all the questions that are being solved by you. So don't move on in a hurry way to the next section because you can't be moved back to the previous section. So now let us see each and every section one by one. So first of all we'll be seeing the verbal one. So in the verbal, this is the most complex section because you will be having the 15 questions which should be answered in just 10 minutes. So the point you should be remembering here is don't be tensed or don't feel nervous, because in this section once you just complete 4 to 5 questions, you will be ending up in just 3 or 4 minutes of time left. So don't worry, because most of the people attempting this examination will feel the same. So don't feel, because you can be making over for this in the next section like aptitude or programming logic or coding question. So so be cool and calm at each and every point of examination. So one of the most important thing about the verbal section is there is no negative marking for this section. So try to attempt at least 5 to 6 questions of this section, and I mean try to solve 5 to 6 questions of this section by your own. And as there is no negative marking, don't leave at least one question unanswered. Especially choose the correct answers questions. Answer each and every question. Attempt each and every question, try to answer it. And solving 5 to 6 questions is a basic thing, because without even solving 5 to 6 questions you might land in a trouble. So one of the concepts that are being covered in the verbal section is, the first one is a comprehension question. So comprehension questions will be covering the maximum weightage. Here there might be chances of having 6 to 7 comprehension sort of questions. Because in the comprehension questions we will be given a passage, and this passage will be followed by 3 to 4 questions. So mostly you will be having 3 questions after that passage. So you should be reading the passage very carefully for 2 to 3 minutes, and then you should be answering the questions. Once you read the passage in 2 to 3 minutes, then you can be answering the 3 questions in just a minute. So if you have 6 questions on the comprehension passage, and if you are perfect in reading the comprehension and understanding the things, then it won't take much time much greater than 6 minutes. So in the first 6 minutes you can be able to answer 6 questions. Then you will be left with again 4 questions or so. So if you are not good in the reading comprehension or so, okay, leave it off. Leave the 6 questions and go for the remaining 9 questions. So on the remaining 9 questions you will be having the fill in the blanks questions, which will be based on antonyms and synonyms concept, or else it might be based on tenses also. So these answer those sort of questions, because those sort of questions are quite easier to be answered. because you should be just understanding what is the meaning of the sentence that is given and what is the meaning of the word that should be placed in that particular blank. So answer those type of questions as much as you can. And now one more concept that will be covered here is parts of speech. So parts of speech may or may not be given directly. If it is not given directly, it is also be similar to that of fill in the blank kind of questions, where you have to be identifying the word or the parts of speech of the word which suits the particular fill in the blank. So those sort of questions will be mostly asked in the verbal, and actually I will be having various websites or various references to this. Actually, we will be mentioning all those references in the comment in the description of the video, so refer to those links and prepare well for this verbal round, because at least try to be perfect in 3 to 4 concepts of this verbal, because try to concentrate more over the more on the concept which give you the more weightage. So try to cover over that concepts, and that will be helping you much in this answering this round, because as this round has very less number of time. So as I said earlier, once again I am reminding, don't be tensed at the end of the round, because you will be answering just 5 to 6 questions. If you are good enough, you can be answering 7 to 8 questions at a max, or solving 7 to 8 questions at a max. So that is the most important thing what you should be remembering. So now let us move on to the next round. So actually the next round is quantitative aptitude. So quantitative aptitude is one of the most important round, because you should be able to make over for the things what you have done in the verbal round, because in the verbal round you have answered just 50 to 60% of the questions. So here you should be answering more number of questions in such a way that to get a better result in the examination. In this round you will be having 15 questions, and you will be having 30 minutes of time. So there will be nearly 2 minutes for each question. So you have ample amount of time, but most important thing that should be remembered is don't stuck at a particular question. So there might be instances where you will be stuck in a particular question waiting for 5 minutes or more amount of time for solving that question. It won't give you, though you solve a tough question for 5 minutes, it won't give large number of marks, because marks will be almost 1 or 2 be similar to each and every question. So don't be stuck for more than 2 or 2.5 minutes per each question. Just spend 2 or 2.5 minutes for each and every question. So one more thing that should be remembered is there will be negative marking here for each and every choose the correct answer kind of questions. So be aware of it and try to answer the questions which you are perfect. So but don't leave off too many questions. So answer the questions which are okay, and if you have a slight confusion of the question, answer the question, no problem at all, because negative marking is just 1/3 or so, so it don't affect you very much. But don't go for the questions which you don't have at least a basic knowledge. If you have just a doubt over the answer of the question, then go for it, then it's not a big deal. So one of the other thing is answer each and every fill in the blank kind of questions. So try to answer all the fill in the blank kind of questions, and if you don't even get a particular or a correct answer for it, go for at least a choice of answer for that question, and answer all fill in the blanks of questions. Don't leave them off, because they won't be having fill in the blanks don't be having a negative marking. So answer all those questions. So and various concepts that are covered in this quantitative aptitude round are time, work, calendars, probability, permutations, combinations, set theory, dice, card games, cards, etc. So try to first solve the questions like HCF, LCM, etc. That are very much easier when compared to time and work or sort of questions. Or calendars are also easier, because in these sort of questions where you will be having just a one single formula or so, which will help you to solve the question very faster. So try to solve those kind of questions first, and then go on to more complex kind of questions. So in this round you should be at least trying to solve 8 to 9 questions, or at least of 7 to 8 questions to be getting a good score. So actually CareerRide, Geeks for Geeks are all the websites which give you a good concepts about this quantitative aptitude, and which help you to prepare very for this round of quantitative aptitude. So we will also be placing the links to refer for this quantitative aptitude round at our description of our video. So those are all the things what you should be remembering about the quantitative aptitude. Now next let us move on to next one, that is programming logic. So programming logic is also one of the most important round, and this is a target round. So because though there will be 10 questions, you will be given 20 minutes of time for those 10 questions. So concepts covered here are C programming, data structures, Java, C++, OOP concepts. So if you are a computer science student, this is the most important round that you will be having, because in this round you should be able to solve 8 to 9 questions. If you are a computer science student, then you should be able to solve 8 to 9 questions. Though if you are not a core IT student, then also no problem. At least try to solve 7 to 8 questions, because all the questions will be easy, because most of the students will be having the training sessions on this NQT. So you might be having at least some basic knowledge about how all the C concepts of C programming and data structures. So try to solve minimum of 7 to 8 questions, and if you are good enough, try to solve 8 to 9, and all the 10 questions will be easier. So you can be able to solve all the 10 questions. So don't worry at all. So try to solve each and every question. So this Roman will also be having the negative marking. So if you don't know anything about that particular question, don't answer that question, because you might be losing the marks. And this round will be having, as I said earlier, ample amount of time. But one more thing I want to remind you is, don't stuck at a particular question, solving at a particular question for more than 3 minutes. So try to use the time more efficiently in such a way that you can answer the more number of questions and more number of questions correctly. So coming to the concepts, in the C programming, you will be having very basic questions like operators, variables, or pointers, so on. And data structures also. All these questions that are being asked in the programming logic are very basic at all. So though if you don't know C++ or Java, so you should be at least be knowing one of C++ or Java. Because if you know Java, then it's okay, and you should be knowing just how to take input from C++ and how to give output from the C++. So at least you should be knowing the basic concepts from C++ or Java to be answering at least 2 to 3 questions that might be posed on this C++ or Java. So mostly C++ and Java kind of questions are asked in TCS digital kind of scenarios, and in TCS NQT mostly they won't be answering. But if you have a basic knowledge of C++ and Java, then it will be an added advantage for you, because you can be able to answer almost all the questions of this round. So, and there might be chances of having 1 to 2 questions on OOP concept. So if you have a basic knowledge of OOP, then it's enough. Don't spend more time over learning OOP or so. Spend more time over learning C programming and data structures, because most of the questions, 80 to 90% of the questions will be coming from C programming and data structures. So those are the two concepts what you should be more concentrating on. So actually for this programming logic, you can be referring to websites such as Geeks for Geeks, Prepinsta, so on, which will be providing you more number of questions for practice, and the questions that are previously been asked in the TCS NQT. So actually we will be providing you the links that are required to be preparing for this programming logic round in our description of the video. So now let us move on to the next round, that is the coding round. So actually if you see this coding round, you will be having the only one question. So that question will be you can be able to spend 30 minutes of time for that question. So this is just a medium level programming question. So if you are a computer science engineer student, you can be easily be able to answer that question. But the point that you should be remembered is you should be reading this question very carefully. So read the question very carefully and observe that which logic should be applied. Whether it might be dynamic programming, it might be a greedy approach, or it might be a simple programming question based upon writing a simple series of if conditions and looping statements. So reading the question is the most important thing. So here you can be able to answer this question in C, C++, Java, Python or Perl. So one most important thing what you should be remembering here is you should be having a keen knowledge on the platform of TCS Ion, because this knowledge on the platform will be important in this coding question, because if you get a wrong answer while you submit the code or while you run the code, then you'd be knowing where your output will be displayed, where the output came from your code will be displayed. So actually you should be moving your cursor over the word which displays the wrong answer or negative mark, or the cross mark which says the answer from your code is wrong. You should be moving your cursor over there, and then it will be giving you a pop-up showing that your output is so and so. So that is the most important thing, because we had seen many people having lost in the TCS digital also, not knowing how to check out what is the output that is being coming out of their code. So that is the most important thing what you should be remembering. One more thing is we had listened from many people that 3 out of 7 test cases or 3 out of 8 test cases can work you out to be passing through this first round of TCS NQT. So actually this is 3 out of 7 or 3 out of 8 is just a assumption, but we had seen many people not answering this coding question or got passed through through TCS NQT even in the last year. So coding question, if you are good at coding, then well and good. If you answer the coding question, then at a sure you will be passing through this first round of TCS NQT, and you can be getting into interview. So this coding question is that much important. Okay, no problem. If you don't have the good coding skills, and if you weren't been able to answering the question, then also no problem. You can pass through this round if you are done good in aptitude or verbal and programming logic. Because this TCS NQT is much easier examination, because the cutoff will be very less in the TCS NQT, because they would from the TCS NQT, TCS will be having a bulk procurement of the students. So don't worry about not answering this very well, and keep keen on each and every round. Try to rise up your spirits while answering each and every question, so that you can be able to answer a large number of questions. So various references for this answering these coding questions, or you can be having Geeks for Geeks is an excellent platform where you will be having various examples of various coding concepts like dynamic programming, greedy approach, or else pointers or operators, so on. So or else you can be able to practice the code from HackerRank, HackerEarth, and CodeChef, also on. These are all the platforms which can be helping you out. So that's how you should be able to crack this TCS NQT, and by preparing each and every part what we had mentioned here, and by referring to the things what we will be mentioning in our description of our video, you can be able to solve this TCS NQT at a best. So try hard at each and every round, and don't get tensed or frustrated just by not answering one round at your best. So that's all for the TCS NQT, guys. Thank you for watching the video, and if you have still any doubts regarding this TCS NQT, post in the comment section, and our team will be helping you out over this. And please like this video, share this video, and subscribe this video to all your friends, and all the best for your TCS NQT.